What's up, people? PaceBreaker here, and well, this might be a little long-winded, might not. I just got finished watching Power Rangers Super Megaforce. Marathoned it, pretty much. For some reason, I had to stay up and watch it, and then I got tired, and I had like 5 episodes. I had like 5 episodes left, so then I was like, I'll finish it later. So, just finished it, and well, that was decent yet disappointing. I'll say this. Basically, it was a fairly average season. The problem that I have with it is it's pretty rushed. Thing is that 20 episodes to a half of a season, it just doesn't fit. You don't really get enough time to really work on the narrative, to work on the plot, and develop the characters enough. Well, technically, at that point, you have 40 episodes overall, which is, depending on which Disney season, either 4 more episodes or 8 more. So there's still enough time. So the characters did get to have their development or reinforcement, but at the same time, it feels lacking. That's all. That's the best way that I can easily sum up this series. It feels like it's lacking. Now that I've said that and done it within like the first couple minutes, now I feel like I can ramble, right? That's usually what happens. I end up rambling anyway, so at least I got my point across. It was a decent season, but it felt like it was really lacking in certain areas. In certain areas with the characters, in certain areas with the plot, in certain areas just involving their powers in general. So, let's get into it. A little bit of background. First, Megaforce / Super Megaforce, but I will refer to the season by the first title because, well, that's exactly what it was. So, yeah, you've got 2 series that they've... Oh, sorry for my viewers in the UK. 2 series. Tensou Sentai Goseiger. That was the first half. Then Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger, which was the second half. So, it makes sense for the anniversary that, okay. Not to mention there was we can't skip a season that Saban and Toei have basically signed a deal on. So, Goseiger. Makes sense because you have the core 5 colors from the original team. But the anniversary stuff didn't happen until Gokaiger, which was the 35th Super Sentai at the time. So, it also fits in with us because then they get to like change into the other past Rangers or Senshi or whatever. So, that's what we did. However, it was kind of awkward how we handled it. We're going to try not to make this video so long and drawn out because I don't want to sit here talking for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, and I can do that. But let's just try and be as flat and blunt as possible. So, you have this one season, and basically they kind of just have, the characters are basically kind of homages, if you will, or a duplicate. I'm not going to say a rip-off because I feel like you can't really rip off something that already belongs to you. So, basically, they do seem like homages to like the originals or previous Rangers. Troy is a lot similar to Jason. You've got Noah, who's practically like Billy. Then you've got Emma, who ends up being a combination of Kim and Trini. Gia basically does have more of Kim's attitude, but she feels more like Taylor from Wild Force. Then you've got Jake. Jake is pretty much like Carlos, but there's some of Zach's humor that they try to incorporate into him or something like that. Then there's the Sixth Ranger. There's two, one for the first half, one for the second half. Robo Knight. Robo Knight is basically Gosei Knight from Ghost Ager with a little bit of RoboCop, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe say Blue Centurion from Turbo or something. Don't know. He's generic. Basically, they're all generic, but so is he. Then the Sixth Ranger for Super Mega. Orion. Orion is basically your Alien Ranger, joins the team, and he just fits in. He's a generic Sixth Ranger type. Even his background, which is actually taken from Gokaiger, and just fitted to him. And I don't know. You could say he's kind of like Zane, but he's not too big of a show-off. He has elements of Zane and Tommy. If you don't know who Zane is, he was the first Silver Ranger in Power Rangers and in space. And then, Tommy, the first Sixth Ranger ever. But, he doesn't have the hype behind him and the fandom. Although I personally like Orion compared to, I have all of the six. He's probably, my top favorite. There you go. Then we've got our supporting characters. A few, but not really a lot. So then you've got we'll kind of work our way there. We've got our robot, our alpha for this season, Tensu. His name comes from the Tenso part of Tenso Sentai Goseiger. But, that's pretty much all that it is for the most part. So, he's kind of like Alpha, but worse for the most part. He's always worried about stuff, and basically he looks like somebody took Alpha 5, took his brain out, put it inside of the love child of Johnny 5 and BB from Deadly Friend. And there you go. That right there. Maybe you could get Kyle's cousin Kyle from South Park. I don't know. And there's Tenso. Then there's their mentor. There's Zordon for the season. Gosei. Gosei is meh. He's just a glorified version of their morphers. That's pretty much all he is. He's supposed to be Zordon's apprentice and this, that, and the other. All he is basically Oprah in Power Rangers form. You get new powers, you'll get new powers, you'll get a Zord, you'll get a Zord. Everybody gets this, that, and the other. And that's all that he tends to be. He does not actually serve any other purpose than to give the Rangers new powers, new Zords, and that's it. He doesn't really offer words of wisdom or try to console the Rangers in their darkest hours. He's just there, and that's kind of why I don't really care about it. The Rangers barely spend that much time in the command center in this season, like they did back in, say, the first generation, the first season. Yeah, it's kind of fine. They have their own juice bar, Ernie's Brain Freeze, and this is run by a completely different Ernie. We're not in Angel Grove for this season. Would have been nice if we were, but instead we're in Harwood County. Yes, that's actually what it's called, Harwood County. Whatever. But, yeah. We have four friends who are basically established. Noah and Jake are best friends. Jake and then you got Gia and Emma. Yeah, totally doesn't sound familiar, huh? Emily and Mia from the previous series. Yeah, whatever. That does end up getting confusing, but so they're best friends too. Troy is the new kid in school. On his way to school, his first day of school, he has this flash forward, this dream that ends up foretelling this legendary battle featuring all of the Rangers. Okay, not bad. It's a little hot. I've got a heater in here, and I don't want to turn it off. Not to mention, I'm just kind of amped. So yeah, they just come in and just same basic stuff like we've done before. Oh, okay. Look at these ambitious, hopeful, goody people. And that's the thing. That's kind of the problem with this group. They're a tad too goody. Not that that's a bad thing in general. It's just, it's kind of sickeningly sweet just how determined and hopeful and bright-eyed and determined they are. I'll tell you, it's borderline arrogance, bull-headed arrogance. And it's on full display in episode 20, Endgame, and episode 17 and 18 of Super Mega. So, yeah. It's on display a whole lot. It got to the point where it seemed like they may have actually ran out of gas by what was it? Legendary Battle, the finale. Basically, yeah, this series has two finales. The first one is kind of more open-ended. Kind of like Hog Day Afternoon Part 3 in Mighty Morphin Season 3, or Chasing the Space Part 2, I think it was, in Turbo. And it continues on into the next season, which is pretty much directly right after, which is actually how Zeo Beginning and From Out of Nowhere were anyway. It picks up immediately where the previous one left off. The Rangers end up, helping out a bit as they've been scattered at the end, and then, okay, now we're going to need to upgrade. But it's not, okay, brand new powers, straight up, that's it. No, it's a brand new mode. And the thing is that these Rangers don't, okay, I am going to be talking for 20 minutes, but these Rangers have their previous power set. They still have all their Zords, all their arsenal. Even their super mode, which is called Ultra mode. It's this gilded suit thing. Which is okay, but they tend to get beat down a whole lot. It's like, what's the point in having a super mode if you can't really, So now they get Super Mega mode, Super Megaforce, yeah. Which is also the title of the first episode of the second half of the series. Okay. So, yeah, at this point, they basically do an upscale. They go into their first form, and then they elevate into their next form. So it's a dual-layered morphing sequence, because they morph into their first form, and then they even have a neat little sequence with them in their first Ranger suits that then switch into the other ones, as it's like basically stripped away. It ends up becoming like this black bodysuit, and then the rest of it, and then the new helmets, and they go. But it's not, and then they can't even morph straight into those, but they continue to use their previous suits. Fine. The thing that irks me is that they don't even use their other Zords after that until episodes 17 and 18, because at that point, that's when they actually use the finale footage from Ghost Sager, because they didn't actually end it on that. They ended it at the end of that story arc, leading into the final story arc. So they saved that to run parallel with the Gokaiger finale as well. Yeah, we filmed some new stuff. We were supposed to have an original Legendary War, but for the most part, we kind of didn't. We actually did use footage from the Legend War. There were suits there that weren't supposed to be there, but, we used them anyway because, well, the episodes that they were introduced in kind of used them, and so it's just kind of weird that, whatever. But we did shoot some additional stuff, basically because, we got the Silver Ranger and he's working with them. There's a lot of discrepancies. Yeah, I will get to that in just a moment, but I need to kind of calm down and, formulate a structure here. So, I'm not going to, we already know. Everybody in the know, and even those who aren't in the know that every Ranger is going to be there in the finale. That's it. Everybody. I mean, they're all going to be in suit, but everybody's back. There you go. And that's what we got. And some people were actually disappointed with how that went down. It's not unlike Forever Red or, say, Countdown to Destruction. Although in Forever Red and Countdown, there were some monsters that were being used, or the machine, or the Machine Empire's like generals. Some people were probably expecting it to be kind of like the final battle in Once a Ranger, because but in Once a Ranger, it was focused. You primarily had like all of these suits that you could use, and just, I don't know, that was a different production company anyway. So no, it's whatever. So anyway, discrepancies. Like I said, they waited, because why not actually pin both like final episodes together in like a final 5-part, well, it's not even 5-part, but a 5-episode finale, so to speak. Matter of fact, Legendary Battle, episode 20 of Super Mega, could have actually ended with, it could have actually been a 3-part episode or something, and we could have ended it that way. But, and that's the thing, the finale does feel kind of complete. I mean, like, the objective has been completed, but at the same time, it feels like it's missing something. I'm not going to spoil much. As a matter of fact, all you have to really do is just watch, like, the last 2 episodes of Super Megaforce. Watch, like, the first 2, and I think, what was it, episodes 7 and 8, and then 19 and 20. There you go. Simple. You just have to watch, like, 5 episodes, and that's the end of it, and that's basically the series, because there's very little that actually goes down here. I'll say this: in episode 19, the Silver Ranger is getting ready to leave, because they think that they've accomplished their goal. They think that they've protected the Earth from the Armada. They have no idea that they're still out there, and that Mr. Big Boss is ready to actually make a move. They didn't know. Or something like that. I don't know. These Rangers are kind of slow. So, booyah, here we go. He starts talking about, he addresses each of his teammates, with the things that he's learned from each of them. These are things that we did not really see or hear. It's just stuff that he's mentioning. It's kind of like his backstory, which he mentions, and it sounds almost as if it came out of a fanfic, or maybe it's in episodes that are missing and actually need to be incorporated into the series proper. It feels like, they just rush. That's how I feel about the first half. Oh, okay, here you go. Booyah. Because of your courage and determination, you have now unlocked these Zords. A couple episodes later, you have now unlocked these Zords. And then, same way. Again and again and again. To the point where they even actually reveal that their command center is even a freaking Zord, which they don't even use. Basically, their fleet gets shot down in episode 19. And, it's like, well, we can't really do anything. Guys, you had a whole other fleet of Zords that you could have used. Granted, that would mean having to create brand new footage, if not splice footage together, in order to try and make something. Yeah, that's still kind of expensive and still would be nonsensical. This is why you should have just had them lose their arsenal. This is why it would have just been better to go on ahead and take episodes 17 and 18 and actually put them after Endgame, episode 20 of the first half. This way you just go on ahead and get it done. And then, oh hey, this stuff. Because Robo Knight, the 6th Ranger for the first half, ends up being he plays a pivotal role in those 2 episodes. And he supposedly is gone now. He's dead or whatever, and he's transferred his life force to the Silver Ranger, so now he has access to his powers as well or something. Yet, then he shows up in the final battle. There's no rhyme or reason to it. He's just there, and the Red Ranger says, "It's good to see you again, old friend." As a matter of fact, that's kind of one of my problems with the Red Ranger. He ends up obsessing over this robot who was originally a Zord, who ended up lost and ended up gaining his own body and sentience, and now he's a guardian of the Earth himself. Okay. I don't have a problem with that because that's actually how Ghost Sager did it. And that's the thing. The executive producer for this series is an adamant Super Sentai fan. So, yeah, that's the reason why Power Ranger Samurai was pretty much a poorly translated Samurai Sentai Shinkenger. This is why a lot of people say just watch Shinkenger, because it's the exact same thing, except without the localization attempts and the wedged in comedic duo of Bulk and Spike. Because, it was supposed to be Bulk and Skull, but, Jason Narvi couldn't be able to make it, so he shows up in the final episode of Samurai, but so we gotta have this. And the thing about that was that in the casting sides is that how they were going to do it was basically going to be kind of like a Mighty Morphin throwback, but not really, because Samurai. So they were going to have these similar duo, like a next gen Bulk and Skull called what was it, Big Jack and Skinny Mac. That would have been nice. However, not in that season. In the next season, since you were going to create a completely original story. So we got our original story. Evil aliens have decided to invade. I mean, well, that's not really original, but you know what I mean. So they send down their forces, and turns out the villain for Ghost Sager is the villain for this one, and he's openly the main villain. And so he's just using these factions to try and achieve a greater goal. Turns out he's only a precursor. He's only a foretaste of things to come. Because as soon as they get done dealing with him, but he's not destroyed, they blow up the messenger. That's actually what he's called. Who actually brings news of the Armada that's coming. That's all it's called, the Armada. And, well, they blow up the messenger. The messenger warns the villain, Vrock, to go into hiding because his body had been modified because of an accident. So, they may not recognize you, and they may think of you as an enemy. Whatever, this is bullshit, just so they can actually cut that out and show those last 2 episodes near the finale. That's all that was. So, there you go. Boom. As soon as it seems like, okay, we got it. They get a message from their mentor telling them to morph. Why? Because just morph, and they morph just in time to avoid getting blown up by lasers as they run along the beach, and it ends. Not bad. I mean, see, but on its own as a season, Megaforce, first half, is not really that good of a season. It's not very strong. It's very rushed. And then, it picks up and kind of carries and has a little bit more strength in it in Super Mega Force. But Super Mega almost has the exact same issue as the previous. But not quite. I should actually elaborate on that. They don't rush throwing Zord, but they still do it. It's just not every episode or every other episode, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, well, as far as I know. Probably because in Gokaiger they don't have as much to add to the arsenal. But they do get random, convenient plot powers as it goes along. Okay, you have mastered the powers of SPD, so now you get this. You've mastered the powers of the Mystic Force Ranger, so now you get this. And it happens like several times over. But, In Gokaiger, it's actually more because all 199 warriors from before fight the big bad. And this is before the series even started. and they give up their powers in order to seal him away because they can't beat him. So now these powers scatter throughout the universe in the form of keys, Ranger keys. And so, there's this trio of guys. One of them who ends up being the Red Ranger for Gokaiger. He's in the team. They collect the keys, and betrayal from one of them, and the other one takes a hit to save Captain Marvelous. That is actually the Red Ranger's name over there. I know people are gonna be like, they're not Rangers. In certain series, they actually do use the title Ranger to denote who they are. Like like Mirai Sentai Time Ranger, Kyoru Sentai Jew Ranger, Terra Ranger, Tyranno Ranger, Dragon Ranger. I mean, you can call them Senshi, which is warrior, whatever. But, yeah. So, as the 5 who are aliens from different worlds and stuff have gathered together, and the Empire has put bounties on them because they started to become disruptive because they happen to have their own keys that allow them to transform. And then they end up getting the other keys of the 199 that allow them to transform. And, they can transform into them and use their powers briefly in order to aid them. But as they go throughout, like, the 50 episodes and that, they are meeting past teams or a representative of past teams. And they learn a lesson from them. They're not from this earth, and they don't know about these previous teams anyway. But, they learned something. Or, and basically what they're after are the greater powers. So after a lesson learned or determination or whatever, the keys glow or whatever, and booyah, they end up getting something. Eventually it leads to the 35th Sentai team obtaining their greater power. And basically, both sides, hero and villain, are looking for they're looking for the greatest power in all the universe, or the greater power of the universe, or something to that effect. And this thing could possibly destroy the universe. So, I don't want to spoil Gokaiger, but they basically destroy it. So nobody can have it. Yeah. Basically, Gokaiger is Kamen Rider Decade for Super Sentai. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because, well, that's practically what this is. I mean, for the most part, Super Megaforce isn't too bad, but at the same time, it's kind of annoying how some of this just plods along. It feels like there should be at least 10 more episodes because, things don't feel complete, like there's not enough time. I've read comments and statements and stuff from other people saying that the first half should have been its own series. Both should have been their own series. A full-length series instead of just, 20 episodes. I agree. But, still trying to really wrap my head around things. And I can't quite get all of my thoughts together right now. But for the most part, I do have my general thoughts out now. And they've been vented, and I've tried to arrange them somewhat neatly. Basically, this season was okay. It wasn't the worst. The acting was pretty good. The writing wasn't as strong. I mean, it was strong at some points. There were some episodes that were actually pretty good. Then there were some that just weren't very awesome at all. I don't know. You can tell, like, from certain writing credits, whether or not it's going to be a good episode or a bad episode. And that's been a staple for Power Rangers for quite a while. Yeah, we basically have a lot of we have a lot of good things that come up and then a lot of bad things, and the fandom gets into like fights over, is this season better or is that season better, and just, I don't know. But for the most part, this one did kind of try to connect the Ranger universe together, but not by and large. They weren't outright, mainline, baseline trying to do that as priority one. It's just as a consequence of everything happening. Like in the final episode, I have no idea why the veteran Rangers are there. They just are. Just like how some of the Rangers have their powers back and they aren't supposed to. They might have faint, residual energy left to morph again or something, but we don't get an explanation. I don't want like a full string theory blackboard equation laden explanation as to why these Rangers have their powers back and how they knew to come here and this, that, and the other. But just like maybe a simple explanation. We don't get one. Gosei certainly doesn't know. He doesn't know anything about anything. He's just been stationed on Earth for this entire time. He has no idea about the Empire, the Armada, none of that. So, it's just, he's just there to give them stuff. And it's kind of stupid. So, I'm going to assume that because of his toiling and messing around with databases and everything, he happened to tap into the morphing grid. This is my headcanon, and he duplicated certain frequencies that gave each Ranger their respective powers and their teams, and their arsenal and stuff, and those end up being the keys, which are supposedly lining the walls of the command center. So, no doubt, maybe maybe they're able to channel through those keys and morph again. I don't know. I really actually don't care. I just kind of don't like the way that it ended. Not saying the final episode, but the final moments. And they did try and make it seem like, oh, okay, we've come full circle and that's it. Done. As we close on a shot of the Rangers walking off in the distance, to enjoy life and appreciate a brand new day. And, I don't know. I don't know. It's the determination that's admirable, but at the same time, it's highly annoying because of how it just won't shut up about how, they will never surrender. And to be honest, it's Troy. It's really all on Troy. I've been going on for almost 35 minutes, so I'm actually going to stop. But, yeah. I don't know. Seriously, there's certain things that feel like they're missing, and that's why I forgot. And I kind of blanked out when I was saying there's good things and bad things. There's certain stuff that they mention that doesn't actually happen. The dialogue does not necessarily match the footage. Can't remember the dang name of the episode. But there's an episode where Troy says that, a Ranger never lets go of his weapon. We just need to hold on tighter. Okay, because the monster has the ability to magnetize it. Oh, right. Right, now I remember. Yeah, okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. Screw it. So he's able to magnetize the weapons, and what can you do? So the black and pink Rangers, or green and pink Rangers, whatever, they happen to find the Jungle Fury Red Ranger. They don't even know he's the Jungle Fury Red Ranger, but he trains them, gets them to learn how to harness the power of their animal spirits. This is total BS, but whatever. And they come back and booyah, they're able to actually score a hit and actually beat this monster. Red Ranger mentions total BS. He says that he learned that he should listen to his teammates more. That's not the case if you actually watch the episode. The entire time, he's adamant, and he doesn't want to hear any other ideas. That's just it. What he says goes. And it's actually one of the weirder parts. I mean, this guy has like very little personality. Gosei even mentions when he's choosing them in the very first episode that Troy has overcome adversity, and it's because of that, as well as his martial arts skills, that he is the Red Ranger and he will lead the team. We have no idea of any of that adversity or how he overcame it. I guess because of his perseverance and refusing to be bullied, which ends up being in the episode "Who's Crying Now." He teaches this like geeky kid not to back down to bullies and stuff, and just So yeah, let me close this out. Megaforce feels like a nice return to form in terms of like the traditional Power Rangers format from like way back the very first season, as like a throwback to that and just an anniversary season. It does feel good to actually be back to Power Rangers and have them with some cool life lessons, and well, not cool life lessons, but having them learn some lessons in some episodes and say that they've learned a lesson in another, whatever. Nice. The way that everything is presented is a very nice display, but the execution of the season is sorely lacking. The characters could have actually been better, but their acting was actually pretty dang good. Then we basically come down to oh man, seriously, I burned myself out on that. I don't know, just as an anniversary season. It's okay. It's not the worst. Operation Overdrive was a very, very stupid season. The characters were completely unlikable. I don't know, the plot felt lacking in that one too. It was just bad. But heck, I could go on a whole other rant about that, because I don't hate Operation Overdrive because I hate Operation Overdrive just like with no reason. I have reasons for why I don't like it. I have reasons for why I don't like a few seasons that I don't like, but for the most part, So Megaforce, okay. Super Megaforce, like I said, just you didn't have to necessarily split and put the super in there and stuff. It's just Megaforce. Megaforce was okay. It was an average season, fairly decent anniversary season. It's fine. So now that that's over, guess what? We're going back to dinosaurs. Here we go. The next season, this spring, Power Rangers Dino Charge. Holy crap. We're going right back, huh? Yep. Here we go. Now, that was the exception to the rule about skipping. So, we'll see. I'm excited. So, hey. And then, well, from what I heard, over on the Super Sentai side of things, ninjas. Again. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Ninjas for the third freaking time. Nice. And that is the 39th Super Sentai, I believe. So that one is coming in February. That's going to be the last season before they get into the anniversary series, I believe. And I can't wait to see what the heck that one's going to be about, because the current one is about trains. I was actually kind of hoping that they'd make one, and then it's kind of, what the heck is this? But, well, beggars can't be choosers. So, that's all I've got to say. I've gone on for 40 minutes, and that's way too much time. So, if you haven't seen Megaforce and Super Megaforce, then, it's alright. I mean, it's about 14 hours of your time if you choose to watch it. It's on Netflix. Both seasons, all the episodes. And, you could marathon them if you want, or you can watch them one episode a day or whatever. It's tolerable for the most part. You can, so, no, I'd recommend it, but I wouldn't say, oh my god, dude, you have to watch this. This is the greatest Power Rangers of all time. Watch this. No, I'll just say check it out. You might like it, you might not. And well, hey, that's it. If you like it, then cool. It's it was quite a wild ride going into the second half of it like that. It was just wow. So I'm headed over to Ranger Board to like read up on some stuff and see about other people's opinions and everything, and see if anybody gets into any arguments. But yeah. So that was that was something. I mean, it wasn't absolutely amazing, but I'm still kind of heated from it. I mean, wow, and it's done. It ended. What was that? November 22nd. So yeah, here we go. I'm excited for Dino Charge.